Morning everyone, welcome back to MTG Live. Today we're going to do another Commander deck tech, but before we get on to that, I want to say a few things real quick. So within a week, I should actually have a better setup with an actual camera to use, aside from my little laptop I've been using. I'll have a whole, and I'll have a setup to do stuff, and hopefully within that same week, I'm hoping to maybe try to do that. I'm going to work on getting some packs to do some opening. I got some tips from Joey Moss from Bad Boy Gaming, and a good way to get packs for a little cheaper for a better price and stuff. So I'm hoping to maybe get some packs, and hopefully by the time I get this better setup, I'll be able to do some pack openings. That may be the very first thing I do with the new setup. So I just want to let you guys know about that. It will be really great to actually be able to do this stuff a little more professionally. I'm still very amateurish, but at least the quality will be better is what I mean. The quality will be a little more professional. And you guys will be able to see the actual cards without me having to worry about glare from my little lamp I got up above me. Yeah, and hopefully things will go a little better, smoother. You guys will get better sound, and I'll get a lot more of the better quality and start doing a lot more professional videos that I want to do, because to me all these that I've been doing are pretty amateurish, and I know I can do better, and I'm hoping that with the setup I will be able to do a lot better and make these better. Alright, so let's get on to our Commander deck tech. Now that that's out of the way, and the very second Commander deck tech will be Shanna, Sisay's Legacy. She is a white and a green for a 0/0 human warrior. Shanna Sisay's Legacy can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. It gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. Okay. I want to say her first ability is one I really love, so I'm going to just say this out loud. Screw your Zakama. Zakama can go to hell for all I care now. You can't bolt us. That's all I gotta say on that one there. Of course, with the gets +1/+1 for each creature you control, this is going to be largely on if you're going to ramp out into creature spells and stuff, really ramp and put down a lot of stuff, or if you're going to do a token-based deck. I went more token-based kind of deck here, just to make it a little bit more, make her more powerful. Like I said, Zakama can't bolt her out, but one of the things is, though, Zakama can still bolt the rest of your creatures and make her back down to a 1/1. We will begin with our mythics in this deck. Yeah, and like I say, these kinds of decks are always super cheap in budget. I think the most expensive card in here will be a Legion's Landing or a Kytheon. And speaking of that, the first card we are doing is Kytheon, Hero of Akros. If you do not know what it is a white for a 2/1 legendary human soldier. At end of combat, if Kytheon, Hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures attack this combat, exile Kytheon, return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. You can pay a white and 2 generic mana, and Kytheon gains indestructible until end of turn. And then he flips into Gideon Battleforged. He is a 3 loyalty planeswalker, +2 up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon Battleforged during its controller's next turn if able. This is just a good kind of thing to be able to do to make sure, say your opponent has a 10/10 and you don't want it to attack you, because like it could be fatal damage and you have this on the board and they'll be like, okay, we'll just attack them, not to kill them. Do this, make him a 5/5. Yes, he will die, or you can just block for him. But it will give you the chance to make sure that whatever creature you don't want attacking you will not attack you. +1. Till your next turn, target creature gains indestructible, untap that creature. That's really good for if you have a creature that has an ability that you just want to swing with to activate the ability, and you don't want it to die. Like it could be a enrage ability. from Ixalan and rivals and stuff. But it's a really weak creature. You can do this to make sure that if it's enough that your opponent wants to block, give it indestructible. Your opponent blocks, activates the ability, or activates the ability for whenever it attacks. It will just do a lot of the stuff that it needs to do, and it can just keep a creature. I mean, you can just make a 1/1 indestructible and use it as a blocker against a 10/10. +0 until end turn, Gideon Battleforge becomes a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still a planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. Okay, what you could do with that there is activate Shanna's ability. If you have, that just turns him into a creature and gives her an extra 1/1, and you have a 4/4 indestructible body on the board. Now then, the next mythic we are going to move on to in this deck is Polyraptor. It's 2 green, 6 generic mana, convert mana costs 8, a lot for a 5/5 dinosaur, but it has Enrage. Whenever it is dealt damage, create a token that is a copy of Polyraptor. That's really good. Like I said, this is going to be token-based deck, so you can just really spread this out. Use him as a blocker. He actually makes a pretty good deterrent as a blocker, because, for example, if your opponent attacks with a 6/6, you can just block with him, and then you get a token that has the exact same ability. You can continuously block a creature that's bigger than him, and continuously get another blocker. Or you could attack. If your opponent's very low on creatures, but they don't want to take the damage, they will block. He's dealt damage, and you get another token, giving you a bigger board and more creatures to attack with. And then we're going to move into our rares of this deck. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. This is the only other legendary creature in this deck. It's Shyla, Voice of Plenty. It's a white and 3 generic mana for a 3/4 angel with flying. For 4 mana, a 3/4 flyer is pretty good on its own. But you planeswalkers you control and other creatures you control have hexproof. Pay 2 green and 4 generic mana, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Okay, there are many things you can do with this. For example, get this onto the board. Zakama can't target the rest of your creatures, like I was saying earlier. Shanna can become like a 10/10, and Zakama can't bolt her, but he can bolt every other creature on your board. Play this. Zakama can't bolt creatures on your board, but he can bolt Shyla here. He'll have to double bolt to kill her, but still. That leaves an opening. It just makes an extra hoop that they have to go through, even if you don't do anything with that. What you can also do with that is, say you are playing this Zakama deck, and you have the mana for this. Sorry about that. What you can do is you can play Shyla, and then play an Aegis Angel. If you don't know what an Aegis Angel is, it's a white angel, 4/4 flyer, I think for 6 mana. Anyways, when it enters the battlefield, another creature you control, target creature you control gains indestructible for as long as Aegis Angel is on the battlefield. That would combo very well with Shyla, Voice of Plenty. You can pretty much get that angel in any. I believe they're still putting it into the deck builders toolkits. It's a really cheap card if you guys want to buy it. But you can easily combo that with Shyla, because Shyla will give the Aegis Angel hexproof, so you just don't attack with it. And it is a 4/4 flyer, so you can just attack for it in the air, not really have to worry about it being blocked and killed. And because Shyla gives it hexproof, they can't target with abilities or spells. And it gives Shyla here indestructible, which means that there's a Zakama can't bolt Shyla unless they kill off the Aegis Angel, but they can't because it can't bolt it. So that allows your whole board to stay locked up and to stay pretty much indestructible on the board with your Shyla. They can't target, pretty much your entire board becomes hexproof, which is really good, including Shyla. And then you can continuously just keep going and buffing your creatures with her ability, then with immunity, my bad. And it just makes for a really good combo. You could easily switch out that Gideon if you would prefer. Now, that's all I gotta say about that. And of course, the 6 mana. I wish it was like 5 mana. I'd be happier if it was a green and then 4 generic mana to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. But I guess it's fine. It's a good thing for if you have no plays in hand. All right, we're gonna move on to our next rare. This is one you can get from any deck builder's toolkit. Really cheap, always. It's a Victory's Herald. It's 3 white and 3 generic mana for a 4/4 Angel Flyer. Whenever it attacks, attacking creatures gain flying and lifelink until end of turn. Now, this is a really good card to use in a token-based deck because tokens are typically 1/1s, 2/2s, maybe 3/3s. That's typically what you're going to run, especially in a green-white. So, normally, the late game, those aren't good. You may have a giant board where they can't block everything, but once they start blocking, even if you swing in with everything, they're going to slowly knock down your board more than you can build it back up. So one of the biggest problems you will have is getting in that damage without all your creatures being blocked and killed off. So with this here, attack with her, all your creatures gain flying and lifelink. So all these 1/1s, 2/2s, 3/3s are all hitting in the air for, who knows, 10, 15, 20 damage maybe, and you're gaining all that damage back in life. So that can easily set off swinging with your entire board, leaving up no blockers and dealing a lot of damage, and then not having to worry about any going below what your life total was before you attacked. And she couples really well with Shanna, because if Shanna gets very high up in the power, remember, it's commander. All you have to do is deal 21 damage to win through commander damage. So if she's flying and you have 10 creatures on board and she's dealing 10 damage with flying and lifelink, you can very quickly get there. Okay, so the next rare we have in here is one that I love very much. It was one of my... if you remember from one of my earlier videos, the set I came in was in cons. So this here came in pretty soon when I was playing, and it was one of the very first packs I actually opened up. So it's very dear to my heart. It's Secure the Waste. You pay a white and X for an instant speed. You put X/1/1 white warrior creature tokens onto the battlefield. This is very good at instant speed. Come on, you pay 1 white, then however much more, and you get X/1/1 white warrior creatures. Now then, you can also run, it is white-green, so you can run Cryptolith Right. If you don't know what that is, it's a green and 1 generic for an enchantment with creatures you control tap for, I don't know what color mana, it could be any mana, I'll have to search it up and be able to remember, but it makes all your tokens tap for mana. Now, couple that with the lands you have, and however many tokens you have, you could easily put out 10 tokens on the battlefield at instant speed with this. Couple that up with Shanna, that could easily put her at immediately at 11 power, 20 power, whatever, at instant speed. For example, you attack with Shanna, she's a 5/5, and your opponents decide not to block her for whatever reason, don't know why, and you play this card at instant speed and buff her right before damage with all these tokens, you could possibly even kill them outright because they didn't block with commander damage or fatal damage. Who knows? But it becomes a very big threat, especially late game, especially coupled with creatures that can tap for mana with that Cryptolith Right. You can easily flood the board and possibly win this in one hit with Shanna or whatever. Now then, another card that we run in here is Dusk and Dawn. Dusk is you pay 2 white for a 2 and 2 generic for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures of power 3 or greater. Okay, we're running tokens. The only creatures that, very few creatures are actually going to get above power 3 or greater. Like I said, that Secure the Waste is 1/1s. The only creature you'd have to worry about is killing off Shanna, but odds are if you're going to play this, you're going to play it after your opponent has killed Shanna with something or other. Or after, just use it as a nice board wipe. You have the ability to do this because all your creatures are going to be super weak and all that. It gives you the chance to be able to wipe their boards clean and then swing in with a lot of damage with your untouched board. Now the other part of this is Dawn. You pay 2 white and 3 generic mana for Sorcery Aftermath. Cast the spell only from your graveyard, exile it. Return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. This helps out with if, say, they decide to wipe your board. Yes, most of your tokens are going to disappear, but we're not doing just that. We're going to do other creatures that are very weak. Like that Kythian. They kill off the Gideon. Kythian's in your graveyard. We haven't really gone through any other stuff. But you could also do it with Shanna if you have this card in your graveyard. You can let Shanna go to your graveyard. Play Dawn. I don't know why, unless she's costing like 6 mana at that point, then you're saving an extra mana. Now then, the next card we run in here is Ready and Willing. Actually, we only play it for the ready part, so I won't even read the willing part. Ready, and yes, it is foiled. Ooh, shiny, shiny. Look at that, look at that. I hope they bring this back in the Return to Ravnica stuff. Not like this specific card, but the way they do this. Or do some new flip cards. I hope they do some legendary flip lanes. That would be amazing. Anyways, Ready is a white, green, and 1 generic. For an instant, creatures you control are indestructible this turn. Untap each creature you control. Okay. Attack. You just attack and deal damage. You attack with your entire board. Your opponent decides to block some stuff. They can't block everything, so everything gets through. You play this instant speed for 3 mana. They all get indestructible and untap them. So, and odds are they may not even. You may have some big creatures and they may not decide to block anything. So, because they expect to be able to deal fatal damage at you. You may be at almost fatal, and you play and you attack, and they're like, okay, I'll just let them deal all this damage, leave all my creatures untouched, and then kill them next turn. You attack in, they don't block. You play this, deal the damage because they decide not to block, and then untap yourself. They're indestructible as well. Alright, now the next card we are going to play in here is Sylvan Awakening. It is a green and 2 generic mana for a sorcery. What it does is, until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste. They're still lands. Okay, this is really good in this deck. What can you say about it? I mean, if you play this late game when you have 10 or more lands on the battlefield, heck, play it with even 5 lands on the battlefield, and Shanna on the battlefield, she could be a 5/5 at this point. You have 5 lands. She's a 10/10. Yes, it is sorcery speed, but you're still going to buff her, and you're still getting a board of indestructible creatures with haste that are still lands that you don't have to actually attack with. You could just use them to buff buff Shanna. I mean, let's be honest. Now then, we do run a Bastion Protector. It is a white and 2 generic mana for a human soldier. It's a 3/3. Commander creatures you control get +2/+2 and have indestructible. We run this for Shanna because she can still be killed through combat damage. We run this because if it's just Shanna and this creature and Bastion Protector on the battlefield, Shanna is a 4/4 with indestructible. That is not bad. And then you also have another 3/3 power on the board. It's really good because then she can't be targeted by abilities and with indestructible. So it gives you an extra hoop that if your opponent wants to kill Shanna through combat damage, they have to kill the Bastion Protector first. It's just a really good card to use to help protect Shanna. And like I said, we're running more tokens, so we're going to be running cards that give us tokens. Instants and sorceries and enchantments that give us tokens. So we're not going to be running, and it's white green. We're not really running any kind of removal really, so we need something to protect our stuff. Doing this, we can protect Shanna with the indestructible. Now the next card we run in here is I'm a little iffy on this card. It's a Goring Ceratops. It's 2 white, 5 generic mana for a 3/3 dinosaur. It has double strike, and whenever it attacks other creatures you control, gain double strike until end of turn. Now, I'm a little iffy on that because of the 7. Convert 7 mana cost for a 3/3. Yes, it can deal damage for 6 mana. Yes, I understand that. But I'm still a little iffy on that. The reason why I run it is to pair it up with Victory's Herald. Remember, whenever this attacks, target creatures you control get flying and lifelink. Double that with the double strike here, and give your Goring Ceratops flying and lifelink as well. All your creatures now have flying, lifelink, and double strike. It can become a very dangerous pair. That's the only, and it's only 1 extra mana, so you play Victory's Herald, Goring Ceratops the next turn, attack in, and then attack the next turn, or find a way to give Goring Ceratops haste. It's just, I run it because of that. Now, if you guys got something that's a little cheaper and better for that, let me know. Now, the next card we play is Wayfaring Temple. It's going to be a white and a green and 1 generic mana for Star Elemental. What it is Wayfaring Temple's power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. We run this for that ability as well, so that it couples up with Shanna, so that we don't just have Shanna who's getting very powerful through all these creatures being on the board. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, Populate. Okay, for those of you who don't know what Populate does, Populate is put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of a creature token you control. So this could easily be a 10/10, and if it deals damage, give it trample or something like that, then you get to create another token that's a copy of one you control. Yeah, that's really what it's all about, is that token. You could possibly get another, I don't know, you could get like any kind of token you need. I mean, if Polyraptor went off, you could get an extra Polyraptor. Okay, so now we are getting into this here is one of my very favorite cards, and it's Legion's Landing. It's a white for a legendary enchantment. Whenever Legion's Landing enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. And whenever you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform it. Okay, this is a 1-drop, 1/1 body with lifelink with an enchantment that can flip later on in the game, and we'll have more than enough creatures, and we'll have creatures that are disposable, so you may just even attack with 3 creatures just to flip this. And it flips into a Danto, the first 4. Okay, let's pause for a moment and look at this. That is some beautiful artwork. Come on, people. I love these flip. I hope Wizards just doesn't do this flip lands as a one-time thing, because these are gorgeous. The flip art is gorgeous. It's really good. They really hit the nail on these flip lands. What it does is, for a legendary land, you tap to add 1 white to your mana pool, or pay a white and 2 generic, tap, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. Okay, so what it is we get something that can flip and we can pour mana into if we have nothing else to play, or play it on opponent's end step to create more tokens. It just lets us create some more tokens. Alright, so we also play Golden Guardian. It's 4 generic mana for a 4/4 golem defender. You can pay 2, fights another target creature you control. When it dies this turn, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Now, what we do about this is, you're gonna want this to fight Shanna. She's gonna be large enough that you can fight Shanna, and your golem's gonna die. You could possibly drop this for 4 mana and immediately have it fight Shanna, and then flip it. Same turn it comes into battlefield. And it flips into a land of Goldforge Garrison. That is some beautiful artwork. What it does is, you tap, add 2 mana of any one color to your mana pool, so there's some mana ramp right there. And then you can pay for, tap, create a 4/4 colorless golem artifact creature token. So what we got going right there is, we have more token production then, and it's better, and it's a little better than Legion Landing at that point, because it's, yeah, you're having to pay an extra mana to create another token, but it's any mana you want, and you get a 4/4 golem. That is good. Couple it up with Populate. and you can easily start going very off with some very powerful creatures. Find a way to give them all trample. Okay, so the next rare we run in here is, I'm probably going to butcher this name, is Colonian Twin Grove. It's a green for 5 generic mana for a Tree Folk Warrior with XX. What it does is its power and toughness are each equal to the number of forests you control. Yes, it is a 2-color deck, but it could easily be a 5/5 or whatever, or even be higher than that. But what it does is also, whenever it enters the battlefield, put a green Tree Folk Warrior creature token onto the battlefield with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of forests you control. So possibly for 6 mana, we could have, it could be like a 4/4 or 5/5, but you would get 2 of those. So that would be a total of 8 or 10 power on the board for 6 mana. That's kind of a little bit. Normally, if the power and toughness are like over the mana cost without some crazy additional cost to it, that typically can outweigh how much it is and the possibility for a weak creature, especially when you're getting 2 creatures with powers. I mean, you could easily double block something. Now the next rare we run in here is a Wolfbriar Elemental. It's 2 green, 2 generic mana for a 4/4 Elemental with multi-kicker. You pay an extra green, and you can pay that as many times as you want. Whenever it enters battlefield, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto battlefield for each time it was kicked. You could possibly put down 4 or 5 of those, no telling how much. You could do a little bit more. You could switch out cards in this deck for stuff that does more of that, where you pay more and get more tokens and do a bit more of a mana ramp. Now, it is white green, so there's not as much draw power in here. So what we have is Shaper's Sanctuary, which is 1 green for an enchantment, which does, whenever a creature you control becomes target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Okay, almost definitely Shanna and your tokens and stuff are going to be, and Shyla definitely, are going to become targets of some kind of spell or ability. This here will help us, and a lot of this stuff is very low cost mana, cheap spells to play. You're going to need some draw. We don't run very much draw in here. I think that may be the only draw thing. So this here helps offset that a little bit. It helps give us a little extra draw. Now then, the next rare we run in here is a card that I really recommend you play in here no matter what. Always make a slot for it in a token deck, and it is Growing Ranks. You pay either 2 green, 2 white, or any combination thereof, 2 generic mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, populate. It just lets you populate, people. Now then, this here is one of my... Okay, you guys may not know this, but I'm a big Eldrazi fan, Infect fan, yeah, all that kind of stuff that annoys everyone. So Desolation Twin goes really well in here, because it's 10 mana, but it's a 10/10 for an Eldrazi. When it enters battlefield, create a 10/10 colors Eldrazi creature token. No, it's when you cast it, my bad. See, here's what happens with this. Even if you're playing against a blue deck, yes, you can run out 10 mana, and a blue deck can counter this for like 2 or 3, but no matter what, it's for if you cast this. So even if they counter that, they can't counter the token, because you're not casting the token, and you still get 10 power on the board. And if you're not running something, and if something doesn't counter this, you get 20 power on the board for 10 mana. That's very good to play in this. Very useful. And it's another token and gives you another body. It just helps out. Next rare we run in here is Gutter Grime. It's green and 4 generic mana for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a slime counter on Gutter Grime. Then put a green ooze creature token onto the battlefield with this creature's power toughness are each equal to the number of slime counters on Gutter Grime. So what happens? We're running this card in here because you're going to have yes, we are running token, but we're not running complete tokens. We are running some other creatures that aren't tokens. And this here will be a value engine that will continuously put out tokens for us. and the tokens will continuously get larger and more powerful. But it's the kind of card that you can easily switch out if you want to go more token based. Now the next card we run in here is Fated Intervention. 3 green and 2 generic mana. Shiny, shiny, shiny. For an instant, put 2 3/3 green Centaur enchantment creature tokens onto the battlefield. If it's your turn, scry 2. You get 2 tokens for 5 mana, total 6 power, and you get to scry 2. If it's your turn. It's not bad. Now we're out of the rares, and I want to start off with this enchantment aura here. It's one that I think is really good and useful. You may not think so, but it's Commander's Authority. You pay 1 white for generic mana for enchantment or enchant creature. Enchant creature has, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 white human creature token onto the battlefield. Yeah, it's at the beginning of your upkeep, but you continuously get a token then. Yeah, it can be destroyed by enchantment removal, but I mean, it's not really the kind of thing someone's going to target. I mean, they're more likely to target your growing ranks or the gutter grime. It's not something that people are going to really target. They're going to mainly just try to kill the creature that it's attached to get a 2 for. The next card we run in here is Spore Mound. It is 2 green and 3 generic mana for a 3/3 fungus. Whenever a land is battlefield under your control, you get a 1/1 sapling creature token. Yeah, we're not putting down more than 1 land a turn, but if you are hitting your land drops fairly often, having this card on the board, you can easily get 3 or 4 or 5 tokens out of it within a few turns, and just helps build your board and helps you keep some blockers on there. Now, the rest of these cards are in no actual particular order, so let's get to it. Serval Exhibition. 1 white, 1 generic mana for a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 colors, Serval artifact creature tokens. Just more token generation. Jungleborn Pioneer. A green and 2 generic mana for a 2/2 Merfolk Scout. When it enters battlefield, create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token with hexproof. Yeah, it's a blue token, but who cares? It's an extra 3 mana for a total of 3 power on the board. 1 of those with hexproof, and it just gives us 2 creatures. I mean, if you just have Shanna out, you play this. Shanna turn 2, turn 3 this. Shanna's a 4/4. Not bad. So then that's turn 3. You have 8 power on the 7 power on the board. Now then, this here is the kind of card that you can easily switch out here, and it's Sprout Swarm. It's 1 green, 1 generic mana for an instant. Give me a moment to read it. It has Convoke, so each creature you tap while playing the spell reduces its total cost by 1 or by 1 mana that creature's color. So if you have tokens out, you could possibly make this cost 0. Buyback for 3 generic. You may pay an additional 3 as you play the spell. If you do, put this card into your hand as it results. Put a 1/1 green sapling creature token into play. Yes, it's 1 token, but you can easily tap all your tokens and pay for the stuff and then keep getting it back. So it's a continuous 1 token. Yeah, it costs some mana to do it, but if you have nothing else in your hand and you have the mana to spare, it's the kind of thing you hold back, and it's instant speed, so you can easily do this and buff Shanna up before she deals damage. It's just in here. It's the kind of card you can easily switch out for something else. Feel free. I may even switch it out for something else. It's the kind of thing that you can put a Cryptolith right in there in its spot. Seller of Songbirds is our next card. It's 1 white, 2 generic mana for a human 1/2. When it enters battlefield, put a 1/1 white bird creature token flying onto the battlefield. It just gives us 2 bodies. Now, Rousing of the Souls is our next card. It's a white 2 generic mana for a instant sorcery, with Parlay. Each player reveals the top card of his or her library. For each non-land card revealed this way, you put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield, then each player draws a card. So here's what happens. For 3 mana, you could possibly get 4 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying, and then draw a card. Yeah, all your other opponents draw a card, but you get to see what they're drawing. So it kind of offsets that. Now the next card we have in here is a Dauntless Cathar. It's a white 2 generic mana for a 3/2 human soldier. with a 1 generic, 1 white, exile it from your graveyard, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with fly onto the battlefield. It's the kind of card that you can play so that if it dies, you can get you can basically replace it. Martyr of Dusk. It's a white and 1 generic mana. Shiny, 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 shiny. For a 2/1 vampire soldier. When it dies, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. It's a kind of card that you can use as a chump blocker and then get a body to replace it. Squire's Devotion. It's a white and 2 generic mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature gets +1/+1, has lifelink. Enters battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. It gives you a body and buffs a creature you have and gives it lifelink. Fungal Sprouting, green and 3 generic mana for a sorcery. Put X 1/1 green 1/1 green sapperling creature tokens onto the battlefield where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Now the reason why we have this in this deck is because Shanna could easily be a 10/10 when you play this card. So you get 10 creatures and then buff Shanna 10 more power. It's in here for that. Shanna's going to be one of your biggest creatures. She's going to do a lot of stuff. And if you can get her going and get all these creatures on the battlefield, play this for 4 mana, no telling how many tokens you could get. Now, the next card we run here is Knightly Valor. It's a white 4 generic mana for enchantment or enchant creature. Enchant creature, when this enters battlefield, put a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance onto battlefield. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has vigilance. Yeah, it's 5 mana for essentially at the lowest 5 power on the board, because if you attach it to a 1/1. Call of the Conclave. It's a white 1 generic mana for a sorcery. Create a 3/3 green centaur creature token. 2 mana for a 3/3. Not bad. Call of the Cavalry. So white 3 generic mana for a sorcery. Create 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance. Beckon Apparition. Pay a white for an instant. Remove target card in a graveyard from the game. Put a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token flying into play. It's in here just so that your opponent has a card that goes into their graveyard and you know they run a little bit of something that messes with their graveyard. You can get rid of it and make sure they can't get to it. Lingering Souls. It's a white 2 generic mana for a sorcery. Put 2/1/1 white spirit creature tokens flying onto the battlefield. Tokens, people. Tokens. It just gives you tokens. Centaur's Herald is a 1 green for a 0/1 elf scout. Pay 3, sacrifice it, put a 3/3 green centaur creature token onto the battlefield. Basically, you can play this turn 1, then later on switch it out for a bigger creature. Night Watch, a white 4 generic mana for a sorcery. Put 2/2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance onto the battlefield. Evan Angel of Heliod. 2 white 4 generic mana for a 1/3 human cleric. When it enters the battlefield, put a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield equal to your devotion of white. For those who don't know, devotion is each white in the mana cost of permanents you control counts towards your devotion to white. So no telling what you could get in that. Now then, Queen's Commission, you pay a white 2 generic mana, create 2/1/1 white vampire creature tokens with lifelink. Called Scions. It's a green and 2 generic mana for sorcery. Put 2/1/1 colorless Scion creature tokens. Gather the Town Folks. It's a white and 1 generic mana for sorcery. Put 2/1/1 white human creature tokens onto the battlefield. It has Fateful Hour. If you have 5 or less life, put 5 of those tokens onto the battlefield. Sergeant at Arms, a white and 2 generic mana for a human soldier. 2/3 with kicker, you pay 3 when it Sergeant at Arms enters battlefield. If it was kicked, create 2/1/1 white soldier creature tokens. So for 6 mana, you could get 4 power on the battlefield. And largely, Sergeant Arms really goes well with Shanna because, yeah, you're paying 6 mana, but you're giving Shanna 3 extra power. Security Blockade, a white 2 generic mana for an enchantment aura. Enchant Land. When it enters battlefield, put a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance onto the battlefield. Enchant Land has tap, prevent the next 1 damage that will be dealt to you this turn. Join the Ranks. White 3 generic mana for an instant. Put 2/1/1 white soldier ally creature tokens onto the battlefield. Feral Incarnation. Pay a green and 8 generic mana for sorcery. It has convoke people, so put 3/3 green beast creature tokens onto the battlefield. So you could possibly pay for that for free. Dripping Tongue Zubera. Green and 1 generic mana for a 1/2 Zubera Spirit. When it is put into graveyard from play, put a 1/1 color spirit creature token into play. Thraben Standard Bearer. White for a 1/1 human soldier. You pay 2 tap, discard a card, put a 1/1 white human soldier creature token onto the battlefield. Raise the Alarm. A white 1 generic mana to put 2/1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. Fungal Plots. Green 1 generic mana for an enchantment. You pay 2 exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Sacrifice 2 Saprolings, you gain 2 life and draw a card. So this can help fix your life if you're low on life and give you card draw. And we're not doing anything to really mess with stuff in our graveyard, so you can feel free to exile creatures from your graveyard and then just get tokens. Vessel of Ephemera. It's a white 1 generic mana for enchantment. You pay 3, sacrifice it, put 2/1/1 white spirit creature tokens with fly onto the battlefield. Ictanian Crier. I don't know if I said that right. It's a white 2 generic mana for a 1/1 human spell shaper. You pay 2 tap, discard a card, put 2/1/1 white citizen creature tokens into play. Howl of the Night Pack. A green 6 generic mana for a sorcery, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield for each forest you control. Spore Swarm. Pay a green 3 generic mana for an instant, create 3/1/1 green Saproling creature tokens. Okay, this next card we run here because it's really useful. Blunt the Assault. Pay a green and 3 generic mana for an instant. You gain 1 life for each creature on the battlefield. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. No telling how many creatures you could have on the battlefield, and including your opponents. You could easily go from 5 life up to 20, 30, who knows. Or maybe even you just need 5 life, so you pay it for 4 and gain 5 life. Triumph of Jared. White 1 generic mana for a enchantment saga. First lore counter is put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control with the greatest power. Same for the second one. Shanna, of course, she's going to get 2 1/1 counters, so she'll, even if all your other creatures die, she'll always be a 3/3. Target creature you control with the greatest power gains flying, first strike, and lifelink until end of turn. Shanna again, people. Loxodon Partisan. A white for generic mana for an elephant soldier, 3/4 Battlecry. If you don't know what that is, it's whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Overrun. 3 green to generic mana for sorcery. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Play this when you have a board full of 1/1s. They all become 4/4s and you attack. Builder's Blessing. A white 3 generic mana for an enchantment. Untapped creatures you control get +0/+2. This just makes your 1/1s, 1/3s when they're untapped. Makes them very good blockers. Makes them more relevant to the game. Makes them more useful. Haze Frog. 2 green, 3 generic mana for a 2/1 frog with flash. When it enters battlefield, prevent all combat damage that other creatures would deal this turn. Use it if your opponent decides to attack you with a lot of stuff. They tap out to try to kill you. Flash this in because they're probably not expecting it, and prevent the damage. Durable Handicraft. It's a green and 1 generic mana for an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 generic mana. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on that creature. Pay 6, sacrifice it, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. We have this in here so that we run this so that you can, if you had the mana, you can make all your 1/1s as they enter the battlefield 2/2s. Makes them slightly more relevant for an extra mana. Unruly Mob. It's a white 1 generic mana for a human 1/1. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on it. This can get very out of hand, especially if your opponent decides to kill off a lot of your stuff. If your opponent decides, if you run something like a Vidalcan Orrery, all stuff you control has flash. If your opponent decides to board wipe you and you have a lot of creatures, flash this in, and then it gets all those 1/1 counters from all dying. We're moving more into our populate stuff. Horncaller's Chant. Pay a green 7 generic mana for a sorcery. Put a 4/4 green rhino creature token with trample onto the battlefield, then populate. Yeah, 8 mana, but for 8 power with trample. Wake the Reflections. It's a white for a sorcery. Populate. 1 mana to populate, possibly get like another 4/4 or something. Rootborn Defenses. A white 2 generic mana for an instant. Populate. Creatures you control are indestructible this turn. You get an extra token. Creatures get indestructible. Eyes in the Skies. A white and 3 generic mana for an instant. Put a 1/1 white bird creature token onto the battlefield, then populate. Courser's Accord. A white and green generic and 4 generic mana for a sorcery. Put a 3/3 green centaur creature token onto the battlefield, then populate. Tristani's Judgment. A white and 5 generic mana for an instant. Exile target creature, then populate. Exile Zakama. Just saying. Sundering Growth. Pay 2 green, 2 white, or any combination thereof. For an instant, destroy target artifact or enchantment, then populate. Celestia Cluestone. 3 generic mana. For an artifact, tap either green, white, add to your mana pool, or pay green and white, tap, sacrifice it, draw a card. Now we're getting into our lands. We run a Tranquil Expanse, Transguild Promenade, Blossoming Sands. We run a Memorial to Unity. It's it enters battlefield tap to add a green to your mana pool, pay 3, tap, sacrifice it. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them, put it to your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. In a random order. That just gives you a little bit of a basically it's 5 scry. Cradle of the Accursed. It's a land desert. Tap add colors to your mana pool, pay 3, tap, sacrifice it, create a zombie. Well, yeah, create a 2/2 zombie. Sandstone Bridge. Enters battlefield, target creature gets +1/+1 and Vigilance till end of turn. Memorial to Glory. Enters battlefield, tap to add a white to your mana pool, or pay 4, tap, sacrifice it, create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Fertile Thicket. And Selesnya Guildgate, and then we run 10 green, 10 forest, and then 10 plains. Alright everyone, that's my Shanna Sisay's Legacy Commander deck tech, people. I want to say thank you for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Click the like button, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you guys liked about it, what you guys didn't like about it. Like I said, I'm going to be getting a new setup hopefully within a week of this video being posted, and hopefully I'll also be getting some packs to do some openings for. So we'll get a little more content other than just some card stuff and just me talking about stuff. And I'll do and I don't know what kind of packs and stuff it will be. So we'll see. And yeah, we'll get a new setup, so things will be a little more clearer and the quality will be better. Hopefully the sound, I don't know if the sound's not right or not, so the sound may be better as well, so I may sound different. I know definitely the quality for sure, but at least it better be different, better be a lot better. Because if it's not, compared to a laptop camera, that's kind of sad. And I will actually start setting up a kind of an area to be doing my videos at. You'll be able to actually see the cards that I'm placing. Thank you for watching, and like I said, this deck is very budget. I think the most expensive card in here was either Kithion or the Legion's Landing. So this here, I bet it's probably like less than 20 bucks if you were to go buy all the cards. And also, you probably have most of the cards if you were wanting to build this deck. So feel free, and like I said, always say this is just a template. This is just decks that I make with only cards that I have or that I've traded from. So feel free to make this deck or just use it as a template. Thank you for watching. I enjoy doing these videos, and see you soon. I may put out another video today or tomorrow. See you.